would say, yes, for me it was a privilege. For 9 years I was the prosecutor of the International Criminal Court. I was involved in 18 conflicts. I took office when the Iraq war started. I was involved in Congo conflict, Uganda and Colombia.
Please speak right at the mic.
I am. I said again, it's working? No working?
It's working.
It's working. Okay. So I started with the Iraq war, I ended with Libya case. I saw 18 conflicts. I saw the world changing in my eyes. And now I'm a citizen. And that's why I like to be here. I'm really grateful for Walter's invitation. I like to be in this Pugwash meeting. This is my second Pugwash meeting. In the first Pugwash meeting I met Walter, in fact. And as he explained today, he developed this beautiful theory about the plausible deniability, but also he invited me to this meeting. And invited me yesterday. For the first time in my life, I had a very interesting discussion with top army officers that were discussing how to be more efficient, combining better our different mandates. And it's a shame how we are not thinking better, because the wars are also changing. There's no more battlefields and cavalry and infantry and tanks. Over. Look Iraq, look Afghanistan, look Libya, look Syria. This is a new conflict. And the law plays a role there. Now we have to see how to combine it. But Pugwash also plays a role. I see Walter was Pugwash outcome, and then one of the things I did when I was a prosecutor and now insisting is trying to explain how normal people can be involved in these issues. And in fact, Walter is one of my biggest achievements. So I just took him after dinner, so immediately he gave a lecture in my office about the ways to present the responsibility of commanders, and he kept working, so it was easy, and now he organized all these things here. And in fact, another person in this meeting was an Argentinian scientist, Karen Halbert. I convinced her, I told her, look, the International Criminal Court is a new design. It's a design who create a global justice system based on national justice system. It's a combination. But this design has no architect. It was designed by mistake. It was a fight, and then they agree on this. But it's working very well. But then we need to explain, can you do a mathematical model showing that a treaty was an independent enforcement will work better? And then she did it, and she convinced two Pugwash scientists from Brazil to help her, and then they are using now mathematical equation to show that the system with the independent mechanism worked better than without. So this was my outcome of my last Pugwash meeting. So I hope this second meeting will be even much better. So I don't know when I believe this will be the group who will conquer the world probably. So that's my expectation with you. So what I can do is tell you a little about the institution, because the problem I see is you have life, we have our normal life, and then you cannot change the world alone. We need to combine efforts. And that's why Pugwash is helping. We have a senator here who can help. So we can see how to combine our efforts. So to combine efforts, I'd like to give you some data about what is this international system, how it works. I believe what is happening is the world is evolving from war and massive violence to a system where a permanent peace based on the rule of law is being established. We're establishing it. So this is a change difficult to perceive because it's happening in many different places. It's difficult to analyze because there is no one academic field who focuses on this area. That was one of my problems. International relations people don't believe in the law. So when I prosecute Bashir or even Gaddafi, they were saying what he's doing. Why he's interfering with the political actors. And lawyers, professors of law, they don't believe in power. They believe the law, they assume that the law will apply. They'll assume, okay, Bashir is arrested, how you respect his rights? Okay, but let me arrest Bashir first. That's the biggest problem. They assume the law apply. And between these two sides, of course, I took four decisions each day. I have 20 different opinions on each decision, so at the end of the day, I have 800, and then for 9 years, I have thousands of people who believe I'm stupid, crazy, disrupting, doing mistakes. So it is highly complicated, and the media is expanding this confusion. And of course, people like Bashir is taking advantage. It's funny, because I was talking to Walter. I loved his presentation of Prosecutor, of how the different ways to deny responsibility. But Bashir is doing something different. He never denied he did what he did. What he said is, oh, the prosecutor is targeting me because he is against Africa. He has an African bias. And incredible, it's flying, this idea. Journalists repeatedly ask me, why you are having the African bias? Why you are just prosecuting people in Africa? Why you are doing that? It's incredible. No one talks about there are 10 judges who evaluated my evidence and concluded that Bashir committed genocide. 10 judges say that. And it's a genocide. We say never again. And no one talks about that. People talk about African bias of the court. So Bashir is winning. We bought his way to deny the crimes. So Walter and I was working on this idea. And in fact, has historical roots. You heard about Victor Justice. You know, Victor Justice is bad justice. You know who he coined this concept, Victor Justice? Who knows? Guess. Goering, the number 3 of the Nazi regime. When he was in the dock in Nuremberg, he say, I'm here because this is Victor Justice. So, and this idea also fly very well. NGO repeat Victor Justice. When I do cases saying, oh, what is Victor Justice? You know what? You're repeating Goering. And when you talk about African bias, you're repeating Bashir. And I think there's a problem here because we are trying to build a global community. That is difficult. It's not the way we normally work. There's an Arab proverb who say, I fight with my brother. My brother and me fight with my cousin. My cousin, my brother and me, we fight with the strangers, with the foreigners. So we live in the families with close ties, people with close ties with us. The rest are foreigners. I have a Swiss friend who told me, when he was a child, he asked his grandfather, what is the difference between high mountain and low mountain people? What is the meaning of that? And he said, okay, for example, we are high mountains. You, me, and your family, we are high mountain. The rest of the world is low mountain. That is basically the concept. So we live within communities, and this global community is complicated. It's highly complicated. That's why my point is we need to understand better institutions, how they work, because Canada is a big country, you have different groups, but then you have institutions who help you to build a community sense in Canada, in a big land. And we now, the challenge is to do the same at the global level. And that's why the ICC is so unique, because the ICC is the first global institution. Our only goal is to stop massive atrocities, that's it. UN is different, UN is a meeting place. UN is a place where the countries met to discuss issue. Someone say, to blame the Security Council for the lack of security in the world is like to blame the Madison Square Garden because the Knicks are playing bad basketball. It's the building, guys, it's the building. The UN is the building where people met. It's not one mandate. Ban Ki-moon, Kofi Annan, they had no power to impose their will. In my case, it was different. They gave me a mandate, they gave me the rules. I was independent, I enjoyed it, I love it. But so we have one mandate, and that's the tension between this idea to have a global organization working for ending impunity for these crimes and to prevent the crimes, and national systems. A Canadian ambassador explained to me, she said, Prosecutor, you have to understand, I cannot do what you propose. I don't know how to do it. You ask me to support you and respect your independence. I don't know how to do that. I respect the independence of the International Court of Justice because they are asking me nothing. Then I respect them. But if some international organization requests my support, my duty as Canadian ambassador is to put the Canadian agenda inside the organization. That is my training, that's my role. I don't know how to do what you request. So, and she was great, she was smart and clear and transparent and explaining to me the behavior of this diplomat that all the time they try to control. And the funny thing, national countries cannot establish order in the world, and ICC can help, but national countries can control the ICC. They cannot control the world, they can control the ICC. And that's why next week is a discussion on the ICC at The Hague, and they will cut budget, they will control oversight, they are trying mechanisms to control the court. That is what they are doing. And I think that is, okay, it's a different problem. Let me present 2 or 3 ideas to give you a flavor of what is happening. First, this is brand new, okay? Today, I was thinking when Walter presented the Nixon phase, when you remember what had happened, and then he was re-elected. And he cannot even have dreams or nightmares that he could be arrested or prosecuted for that. He was re-elected, not the big problem. And then he had to resign. And think on the Nazi guys. 1941, 1942, Nazi generals, they were the owners of the world. Who can think that just 3 years later, they were sitting in the dock, listening the prosecutor of Nuremberg? So, we are doing something completely new, because in fact, at least Nixon faced a national court, national prosecutor. That was more or less normal. In the Nazi times, there was never before an international court. Nuremberg was the first time the criminal people were, or the criminal allegations were presented before a court who represented humanity. That was the first time. And also Nuremberg was important in 2 other aspects, very important. First, was the first time and the last time that the prosecutor presented charges for aggression. Launching a war is not yet a crime, okay? But second, highly important, even probably most important, they developed the concept of crimes against humanity. Crimes against humanity means that whatever government commit widespread or systematic attacks against civilian population following a plan, they can be prosecuted. So before that, the countries have the idea they have sovereignty, include the idea no one can say something about what we do here. When people go, the Goebbels used to say, these are our Jewish, we do with them whatever we want. In the same way, you do with your Negroes whatever you want. So that was the concept until Nuremberg. So everything changed. But Nuremberg was a landmark, but was not possible to transform it into a permanent institution. Jackson, the prosecutor of Nuremberg, said very clearly, this is a case against the Nazis, but be clear that in the future, even the countries who are seated in the bench could be persecuted. It did not happen, because the Cold War stopped it. Because the Cold War was about defending my friends, attacking my enemies, not our rules. That's why the end of the Cold War produced a change, and then the Berlin Wall fell, and then Balkans also destroyed, the conflict started, and the Europeans were watching in TV similar situations, so the Security Council created the Yugoslav Tribunal, going back to Nuremberg after 50 years, 40 years, 1950. And in the next year was the Rwanda genocide, so they cannot ignore it. So they did nothing to stop it, but they cannot ignore. So they did the Rwanda Tribunal, and then 4 years later they discussed this idea of the permanent court, and U.S. was supporting, but they wanted to link the court with the Security Council. What they want, they did not like it, is an independent prosecutor. They like it, Security Council take control, and then they prosecute whoever they want. They protect their friends, they attack the enemies, that's it. And interestingly, 120 countries led by Canada, and others, but Canada was a critical role in those days, push further, and they appoint this independent court. And then there we are. We have a reality now. So we are there, working, and it's functioning. So and you listen to different people, there are many issues to solve. Let me present a couple of 2 or 3 issues. First, this court was adopted by a treaty signed by 120 countries and ratified today by 121, and established new ideas. One new idea clearly is people in power cannot commit atrocity to stay in power. That's very clear. There is no immunity for head of state. Another important issue is gender crimes. Gender crimes were included, and this is completely new. Gender crimes were included. You can commit crimes against humanity committing gender crimes, and the prosecutor had a special duty to take this into consideration, to focus on gender crime. That's why my legal advisor on gender crime was Catherine McKinnon, who invented this concept, and she was working here in Canada with the US Supreme Court. I think the gender crimes aspect is interesting to show possibilities and difference. In terms of possibilities, yes, in each case we present the gender crime, because in fact, in each case in the world, women are raped, girls are raped, men are raped sometimes. I remember in the Central African Republic case, the Jean-Pierre Bemba people took the leaders of the quartier, of the neighborhood, and they raped them in front of everyone to destroy their authority. And I asked Catherine, why they are raping men in this public way? And she said, they're going to treat men so badly that they treat them as women. But raping women is a part of any conflict. In Darfur, they were using the rape to remove them from the land. One of my witnesses said, the army surrounded the village and they came to each house. They came to my house, they started to rape my wife and then my kids. But the worst was that they forced me to watch when they were raping my 8-year-old daughter. They forced me to watch. And I was saying, why? Why are you doing this to me? So this is what happened, okay? And in this sense, the idea of the court intervening on that make a distinction, because people can talk about this. People can talk about these issues. However, I like to present also the difficulties to establish these principles and how you should tolerate different cultures too. A couple of examples. I was in Libya. I was in Misrata. Misrata is a city who was under Gaddafi forces, surrounded, under siege. And you arrive to Misrata, and on the side of the road you see like 5 kilometers of tanks destroyed. It's amazing how these guys survived it. And they showed me a museum with pictures of people who was killed and wounded. And then I told them, look, it's very interesting. I love to see the face of the people. I know these events. I knew it because of my evidence, but I like to see these faces. But what I'm missing here are the faces of the girls raped. I could understand that maybe you don't like to present the faces publicly because you have cultural issue with that. But the issue is, are we just ignoring them? Are we marginalizing them again? Because that could be a new victimization. And he was very proud, saying, no, we have a human rights program here for the girls. Wow, how is that? So he explained to me the human rights program. And you will tell me he'd like to adopt something similar in Canada. He said, the problem with the girls raped is they cannot be married because they lost the virginity. So because they are not married, they will be marginalized. So we decided that to change that, we will marry them. So to show leadership, I personally married 2. I had 2 previous wives, but now I married 2 of the girls raped. So you are a 16-year-old girl, you were raped by Gaddafi forces, and your solution is to marry this 45 years old man who has 2 previous wives. That's the social program, okay? And it's the best they can do in their own cultural system, okay? So this institution helped to that. We had to do global principles, but also respect peculiarities. I cannot tell him, oh, it's wrong, you cannot marry more than one person. Okay, this is their business, I cannot be involved, but I have to respect them. But this is also part of the world. The world is complex. The world is not just linear. But someone today was presenting this idea, the resolution 1325, which is a resolution adopted by the Security Council, defining that the role of women in conflict, including in particular the idea to have women as mediators of the conflicts. And someone asked what people in Kabul say about that. I don't know what people in Kabul say about that. I know what people in New York say about that. Last year there was a ceremony of 10 years anniversary of Resolution 1325. And Security Council was organizing a ceremony to celebrate that. And I was talking to the people who organized the event and said, look, we are celebrating 10 years, but in fact, what we are celebrating, because there was no mediator in any of the conflict, no woman was appointed a mediator, so what we are celebrating here is a good idea, it's a good principle, but it was never implemented. What are the facts? I said, yes, you are right, but we have to celebrate in any case, because one day we'll appoint someone. So, okay, but how can we present what's happening in Darfur? Because in Darfur, the judges considered that rape was a body of mental harm considered to be genocide 6B. So it's a specific way to commit a genocide. And it's still ongoing. So if we present this part of the genocide in Darfur, then maybe people understand the need to have a woman as a mediator. And he explained to me, it's a good idea, but we cannot do it. Because the system here is what to harmonize everyone. So when we talk about the principles, we don't talk about the facts. So the way to harmonize is ignoring the facts. And that's one of the tricks we should avoid in our work. But that's the way they keep harmony. So basically, we need people like you, we need institutions like Pugwash, like ICC, senators combining, and I believe that is the new world. That is the world is coming. Now I think basically what I see is a new world coming. I don't know if you know this video from Invisible Children. Invisible Children is a group from San Diego, filmmakers who were to Uganda in 2003, and they saw the kids walking 3-4 kilometers each night to sleep in the center of the city to be safe. And they were filmmakers, they started to film that. And then they found another kid who was abducted 5 years before, and he was crying because he said, I want to be a lawyer, but I cannot be, I was abducted 5 years, I cannot go back to my village, because normally he did not recognize that, but normally LRA forced the kids abducted to kill their parents. When they're abducted, they force them to kill the parents, and then they destroy the relation with the village. They cannot go back because they are the killers of their parents. So these kids cannot go back, was crying. So these San Diego kids decided, they said, look, we'll support you, don't worry. And they filmed it, and they were thinking they would show the films in the US and collect support to education in Uganda. And what happened was they came to US and no one had interest in the film. Who have interest in Ugandan kids? And these kids were amazing because they invented the audience. They created an institution called Invisible Children. They prepared volunteers. They got 15 bands and they sent them around the US showing the movies. At the end of the movie, they collect money and they start to create an institution. And they have support in Uganda and they have 500,000 kids. This January, they told me our new plan is to transform Joseph Kony in the most known criminal of the world. I said, are you sure? Yes, we try to put this in the agenda of the US. And they do this movie called Connie 2012, who's very simple. It's a filmmaker showing his son, who Joseph Kony, and this movie got 100 million viewers in 6 days. Lady Gaga took 18 days to have 100 million viewers. So they defeated Lady Gaga. So I think that's what I see. I see a world in which this kids show, the video was crossing the borders, was watching all the world. I believe the new generation coming is a world in which basically the new community is by age. It's not about religion or about race or language, it's about age. One of these young group from Cambridge came to my office asking the question, what happened with 18 years old person in Darfur? For them, it's age. And if you see Facebook, it's age. Facebook is about age, it's a similar age groups. So, but people like you were thinking on this issue for many years, you were committed, you have positions, and so you can do a lot. I don't know exactly what you will do. When I met Walter, I have no idea he would organize one day a meeting at the military college and I will be here talking. So I had no idea. So what I can do is, now I'm one of you, I'm a global citizen, I like to engage with you, work with you, because the world needs people like you, helping to understand what should be done and moving things in this direction. Thank you very much for your invitation. I hope we can work together.